Hello, this is Richard Jacobs with Speakeasy Marketing. I'm going to talk about why potentials go ghost, why potential clients don't call back and hire you, why they no-show appointments, why they come into the office and on rare occasion don't hire you. So I've done a podcast where I talked about what goes on in the mind of potential clients. I want you to refer to it. It's got some really good insights gathered from talking to hundreds and hundreds of attorneys about clients and having legal problems and legal experiences myself. So I want to reference that for you, but here's where we're going to start. So when a potential client calls you or emails you, they're at the point where they've decided, all right, I'm going to have to hire an attorney, okay? Why wouldn't they hire you every time? What happens to make them go ghost, and what can you do about it? Now, there's a famous line I've been told by many, many attorneys. If I can get them in the office, I've got a very, very high closing rate. I can close them. And no doubt you do. Once you get them in the office, once someone comes in and makes that step, which is a very big step, by the way, it is likely you're going to close them because they've gone through all that work to come to the appointment with you, and you can give them your best spiel in person. They could see you, they could hear you, they can get a feeling for your personality and how you work and all the other stuff. They can grow comfortable with you to trust you and like you and retain you. Wonderful. But I know from talking to many attorneys, that's not where you're losing most of your potential clients. You're losing some at the appointment stage. They no-show appointments. Why do they do that? How do you stop that? And then the first stage, when they call or email, and let's say you get back to them and you have a phone consult for 5, 10, 15, 20, even 30 minutes, but they say, let me think about it, let me talk to my wife, I'm talking to some other attorneys, let me get back to you, I just can't make a decision right now, I don't know if I have enough money, all these excuses, and then they disappear. That, I know, is where most attorneys are losing most of their clients. And I also know what attorneys will say to that is, well, if they want me, they'll hire me. If they want me, they'll call me back. If they're not ready to take action, then why do they call me in the first place? If they're not ready to take action, then I don't want them as a client. Or if they're hemming and hawing, it means they have no money. Or if they're hemming and hawing, it's not a serious enough problem for them. You know what? That is your perception, but that's just not true. There's a lot more that's going on in people's heads that make them have these excuses. Okay? Let me give you some of them. So you talk to an attorney, you get off the phone, you're going to feel like, ugh, because you had to rev yourself up to call. A lot of attorneys, as I mentioned in another podcast, are mean. They don't have welcoming phone scripts. They just say, law office, or they start interrogating the person when they call. Some attorneys say, I just want to get them in the office. And they say, well, every case is different. I can't go into details. You just got to come in. And they just try to get them into the office without talking to them first. All these things will not build trust, will not build a relationship, and make it very unlikely that someone's going to come in except out of desperation or fear. And you don't want that. You want them to come in well prepared and with the intent to do business with you, with a serious intent. Okay? So when you talk to someone on the phone, first of all, you got to spend time with them. You can't just say, hey, I'm busy with other clients and I can't talk to you. You got to give them 15, 20, sometimes 30 minutes and really go into the nitty-gritty and details of their case. No, you don't offer legal advice. I know that. But my best clients, my best attorneys, we do phone call tracking. We don't listen to the calls, but I see how long the calls are. And the guys that I have and the gals that I have that convert the best, like 1 in 3, my top people, they're on the phone every time for 20, 30, 40 minutes. Every time. The ones that are doing terrible and saying no one wants to hire them, they're on the phone 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 minutes at most. Those are the people that are not doing well. So there's a direct correlation between being on the phone and giving them a lot of good info and getting them to the next stage, which is an appointment, or even to give you their credit card over the phone. All right? So what goes on in the mind of someone? They hang up with you. If you haven't prepared them well, now they're coming down emotionally because they've made a call to an attorney, so they're like, their adrenaline's going. They had to confront their legal problem. Now they're like, ugh. And it's unlikely they may want to call a whole bunch more attorneys because it's not a pleasant experience. Maybe they will. So if they call a whole bunch more attorneys and the other attorneys they like better for some reason, the personality's nicer, or maybe they promised them something they shouldn't be promising them, or their rate is lower, or who knows, they got a better sales pitch. They've forgotten about you. That's why they won't hire you. So that's one reason, okay? Another reason is they may go and talk to their spouse, brother, father, mother, whatever it is, family member, and tell them they called an attorney about their legal situation. And the family member, well-meaning, could say, well, are they good? What did they tell you? Your Uncle Bob, he's an attorney. I'm sure he could help you. Why pay this guy? How much is it going to cost? What are they going to do for you? So a lot of people have advocates and people who they talk to about situations, especially serious ones like this. And that person may try to convince them out of working with you. So what do you do to counteract that? Have you written a book about the practice area you're speaking to someone on, and have you emailed it to them? Because that's good ammunition. I talked to a criminal defense lawyer today. I'm telling my wife, and she's giving me all these questions, and I say, the guy wrote a book on this. He sent it to me. I'm going to go through some of the stuff. If you want to go through it, fine. And that's a good defense. The guy has a book on Amazon and Kindle. He looks like he might be pretty good. So, let's look at this and decide. Then your wife might say, okay, good. My husband's not being stupid, and he found someone that appears to be good. They may review your website. They may do any number of things. So you want to give people this kind of stuff to help proof them and protect them against being seduced away by other attorneys, against doubt cast by a well-meaning family member or coworker or whatever. Okay? Now, another reason they don't retain is doubt in themselves. Everyone wants to know that they've made the right decision, because sometimes a lot is at stake. Custody of their kids could be at stake. Getting compensation for their broken back in an auto accident may be at stake. They may never be able to work again. And this nut of money they're trying to get is it for the rest of their life. They're doomed after this. They can't be the profession they used to be in. Bankruptcy. They already feel like a loser because they have to file bankruptcy. And I'm sure everyone's telling them, oh, you're taking the easy way out, and oh, you filed bankruptcy. And they feel bad about themselves. So they got to feel good about themselves that they're hiring the right person. You have to instill that in people, that confidence, and to let them know they're making the right decision, because their own ego is on the line. Not just you, but them, okay? So that self-doubt creeps in. Maybe I shouldn't hire this guy. He costs $1,000 more than the other guy. Maybe this lady, she seems okay, but she's kind of like rude, and short with me. This guy, he's got a lot of credentials, but he hurried me off the phone. I just don't feel comfortable. All these things come in, all right, those doubts in their mind. Then there's time and procrastination. Someone may call an attorney and have a 30-minute conversation, and to them they feel like they've taken care of their case in part. Sounds weird because they haven't resolved it, but just the act of talking to an attorney makes them feel like they've accomplished something. Have you ever bought a product and you never took it out of the wrapping, or a gift or something like that and you never used it? Just the fact that you bought something sometimes make you feel like you accomplished something without actually accomplishing something. So there's this confusion of activity with accomplishment, and a consult can do that, right? Now, the other thing too is people forget, and again, 3 or 4 days later, they may end up talking to another attorney, and just because that's the most recent one that they called, and on that day they happen to be finally motivated to take action, they hire that person instead of you, because you were a week ago. So all these things go on to make people not call back, and you got to keep them in your mind. Now let's move on to the in-office appointment. Okay, why do people no-show? All the same reasons that I said before apply. An additional one applies. Between the time you schedule the consult and between the time they come in order for them to come in, it's a big deal. They got to get in their car, they got to drive over to your office, they got to park, they got to walk in, and they got to ask for you. Sounds simple, right? Well, they got to take the time to do that, and people are busy, and it cuts into their schedule. By getting in the car and coming to you, they have to face their legal problem. Now they're really facing it. It's like walking into court. Oh, shit. This is it. It's happening. I'm going into court. I'm going to sit before the judge. Same thing with talking to you. Oh man, alright, there's no turning back. I'm going in, I'm going to talk to this attorney. I'm going to file for divorce. I'm going to file bankruptcy. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I'm going to, have to fight my DUI charges. So coming in to see you represents that. You got to realize that it's a big impediment. To get someone into your office is a big accomplishment. They have to have faith and trust in you and themselves and a whole host of other things. So it's a very delicate thing. Another thing for you to consider is you've spent a lot of time and money and effort just to get that person to call you, much less come in for an appointment. So in your marketing, you spent probably a couple $100 worth of marketing dollars and maybe an hour of your billable time at least to get this person in. So they're worth a lot. When they're sitting there in front of you, you don't want to see them just as dollar bills, but in a way, you see them as $200, $300, $400 that's sitting there that you've invested to get them in the office. So don't forget that. All right, again, why don't they come in for appointments? So all the reasons I spoke about apply to this. So what can you do? Here's some more strategies on what you can do. Finally, we're getting to that. Sorry it's been so long. One thing is to author a book on your practice area. So whether it's DUI, workers' comp, bankruptcy, divorce, etc. Surviving this, getting through that, these guides, 40, 50-page paperbacks are fine. They're portrayed as a book. People believe that it takes a long time and a lot of effort to author a book. They convey a lot of expertise. They make you look very professional and prepared, and a lot of attorneys don't have that. So when you're on the phone with someone, you want to mention this. Hey, just to let you know, I've authored a book about surviving divorce intact. It's on Amazon for $15, but since we're having this consult, why don't I send you a complimentary copy? It's going to answer a lot of questions that you may have. We haven't covered everything. This will be a good addition. Oh, thanks, usually is what a prospect will say. Email it to them. Physically mail it to them. Get it in their hands so that they're more likely to call you back, so that they're more likely to come to your appointment so you can have the chance of getting them to retain you. That's one strategy, okay? Another one I'm going to tell you quick is single most important question. Whenever you talk to a prospect, say to them, what's the single most important thing about your case you've got to have resolved? So for DUI, maybe I've got to keep my license. If I lose it, I can't drive to work. I can't take my kids to school. My whole life's screwed, okay? If it's a criminal case, I can't go to jail because, I'm going to lose everything. My wife, my kids, my family, blah, 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 whatever, okay? If it's a divorce, I can't lose custody of my son. If I don't see him, it'll kill me, I'm afraid my wife will get custody and take him away. If it's bankruptcy, I don't want to lose my house, or I don't want to, look like a piece of garbage in front of everybody. What if my work finds out? What if, this, that, the other? How do I stop these creditors calling? Auto accident. Again, my back is broken. I can never work again as a welder, so this is my last shot to get compensation. So when someone tells you the most important thing about their case, here's what you do. You want to follow up or have your secretary follow up a couple days later. They can call or email and say, Hi, John Smith, from the law office of ABC. I just want to let you know, Attorney Smith has been researching your case a bit more, and he or she has got some updated information on the issue we're facing. I know that keeping custody of the kids was the most important thing to you. Or if you want to be discreet, you mentioned you had one particular burning issue that had to be resolved. I don't want to say it on the phone, but Attorney Smith has done some updated research on that, and he's got some new information for you. Give us a call. That inspires curiosity, and it'll prompt people to call you. Very, very effective way for getting more people to come back to you when they otherwise wouldn't. It shows them you listened. It shows them that you're addressing their most burning concern. So that's yet another way that you can help people come back to you and retain more of them than you did before. So before this gets too long-winded and I go into 10 more methods, I'm going to end the podcast. This is Richard Jacobs from Speakeasy Marketing. If you want help on implementing these strategies in your firm, email me, rj@speakeasymarketinginc.com, Inc. being INC, or call 888-225-8594. Thank you.